You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Wake up to the world you've been missing. Time to jump out of bed in the morning. No day, no life, now we're living. Can you feel it in the air that you're breathing? Time to show 'em what you're made of. Let's get back on track. Are you ready for a come on? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No coming down. Can you feel it all around? Welcome back.
Hello and welcome back to Super Mega Crash Beyond. I thought I was going to struggle with that a little bit this morning because
It's been a bit.
it has been a bit. And a lot has happened in such a short amount of time, or at least it feels like it.
That's how life goes, yeah.
It's like since, Christmas, and now we're kicking off February. There's just this whole month we've had to deal with, and it felt like an eternity thanks to snow and ice.
Oh, yeah.
All that.
Our own little new polar vortex, I guess, for this year.
Yeah, I don't want to see another flake of snow. In fact, the snow that is still here, I can't wait to watch it die this week because we're supposed to be getting warm temperatures and rain. Everything has been teens to single digits to even negative. I woke up this morning and said it's -1 outside. I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, the day that my washer crapped, it was -20, or at least the couple of days prior to it, it was. And I was just like, oh, okay.
And see, I'm glad I wasn't the only one that had this problem. Granted, yours sounded like a bigger issue since it was your washing machine drain line.
Yeah, it sounds like it just froze up because that water is not going anywhere in that washing machine still, as I'm talking to you now. It is still full of water. I'm like, well, that's just how it lives now, I guess. It's going to have so much mold and grossness in there.
See, we I was trying to prepare for anything that I've ever heard, when they say drain lines can freeze up and everything, what you got to do to make sure that even your tap water doesn't freeze up. So I was like, all right, well, I've taken all the precautions. Everything's fine. And we wake up, I think it was middle of the week. It already kind of been dealing with it a day or so. And we were like, all right, so no issues. Wake up the next morning and I hear bloop, bloop, bloop out of my toilet. And I was like, what is that? And I flush and it starts to rise. I was like, oh, no. Okay.
Wrong way.
So I get it plunged and everything goes back down. I was like, all right. So clearly there's an issue. I don't know where it's at. Kept looking around, trying to figure it out. And then at one point, Katrina decides she's going to take a bath. I was like, all right, cool. Just be aware something's bubbly. Well, when she does that, the water doesn't go down the drain. I was like, what is happening? And then we start to try and deal with it. And then suddenly stuff starts to back up into other drains. I was like, no, what is happening? And I start to think about it. I was like, what is happening here? I was like, we didn't have any, no signs of a clogged drain at all. And then suddenly this is happening just overnight. So I was just so confused. And then it had occurred to me and I was like, oh, because the night before she had taken a nice long hot bath, at 10 o'clock at night. Then that hot water goes down the drain and it's very cold outside and
It'll freeze quick.
Very much could have done flash freeze. And I was like, son of a bitch.
Well, did you leave your water dripping just a smidge?
Yeah, all that we've done. It's just trying to get it to go out of the house. It wants to come back in.
No, for sure. Supposedly that's supposed to help because you're keeping it going all night long. I don't know. That and we open up anywhere that has a sink. Open up them cupboards and everything so the heat can get under there a little bit more too. Leave everything just dripping and then pray the next morning you're fine.
Sure.
And so far we were okay with the exception of the washing machine. But that's on an outside wall, even with their heat in there. So that makes sense that it would get more cold quickly.
Sure.
Still sucks though. He was nice though and let us use his washing machine yesterday, my landlord, because I was like, so what are we going to do? Because I was out of clothes when I was trying to do laundry. And so he was very nice to let us take it down there. So I did a couple loads in his washer and then brought it back here to dry. So at least now I should be okay for the next couple of weeks till
at least
figure out what's going on with it. Yeah.
That's kind of him though. I mean, some people could be dicks and be like, well, you're SOL.
I was getting ready to go to the laundromat. I was like, I can't wait anymore. I can only flip things inside out so many times.
Well, luckily, we tried a little saltwater trick because at first, again, thinking it was an actual clog, went with the Drano, had to walk down to the store because, again, we couldn't get out of our driveway. Luckily, the local market's only like a 20-minute walk down the road. So I bundled up, went down there, grabbed some supplies, and came back. And I was like, all right, we're going to tackle this. And, of course, the Drano did nothing. Like, I followed everything. And I got 2 bottles and went through an entire bottle, and nothing was happening. I was like, all right, so that's when I was convinced. I was like, this is probably ice. So we've got to figure out another way to do this. So we had to remove the water. Now, keep that in mind. Tub water, toilet water, all this other stuff is just coming together, and it was like, there's a lot of water here. So how are we going to do this? Luckily, we have a shop vac that we put to good use and probably dumped about 100 gallons of water outside.
Well, at least that was a lot easier than you having to like firemen carry a bunch of water in
Yeah.
and out of the house.
Oh, trust me.
Because it's not like you want to dump it down the sink.
No,
It's like,
yeah.
hello.
I was trying to think of any way to make this any easier, and it was like, this is how it's going to have to be. I don't know what else to do. But once we got it out and the drains were not full of water anymore, then we just like crammed like hot salt water down the drain, and again the water came back up, and I was like, well, we'll wait and we'll
Give it a
see.
sec. Yeah.
And then suddenly at one point I heard just a little snap, and then
Crack.
whoosh, there went the water, and I was like, yay!
Yay!
I haven't had a problem since. So
Look what I have created.
hopefully it will never happen again.
Yeah, no.
And
Maybe you guys just got to get some more insulated stuff. I think the South needs to start realizing you're not exempt anymore.
mhm.
I mean, I'm hearing more and more of the South getting this. To the degree that, I'm getting it, but like enough to shut stuff down,
Yeah.
especially in areas that aren't prepped for it. So I think they need to go, you know what? We're going to have to start prepping for this. It's not like you have 4 or 5 years in a row without. It seems to be every year now.
Yeah, and it's I'm starting to get to the point where I expect at least 1 week out of the entire year that it's going to be a problem. So I'm prepared for that inevitability. Whether or not it happens again, I hope to God not.
Right.
But it could. So we'll see. But I don't want to see any more snow. But again, like you said, it's becoming a common occurrence. Snows like this were once in a blue moon. I remember once when I was 12, then there was probably another time at, some point between then and my 30s. And then I remember another one where we got snowed in a few years back. And then from there, it's like, oh, okay, here's another year and another year and another. And now it's just common every year now. So,
Yeah. I feel like you and my niece who lives in Louisiana, I hear about them getting into like the 30s and stuff now too. I'm like, yep. I think you guys are all just going to have to start buying salt and investing in people to go clear the roadways. Pass it out to the peoples. I'm telling you, man. I knew some people up here that loved it when it would snow because they'd make all this extra cash because they got a truck with a front plow on it, and city would be like, here's some money. And he'd be like, all right. He'd go out there and be plowing streets and make that cash. So since you're not set up for it, maybe some of y'all in the neighborhood need to go get you a truck with a front plow and make you some money when this happens.
yeah, genuinely, I wish I knew someone with one of those because, oh my God, how well that could have worked out this year. Or just for a road alone, it's like we found out that not the county, is it the county? I think the county is responsible for our road. And there's like city trucks and stuff like that will work on the central cities and whatnot. So we had to wait on the county. They were short-staffed, under, I don't want to say under-trucked, but they usually have 6.
Don't have the tools.
Yeah, apparently they were down 3 trucks, so half their staff, half their vehicles. You'd think you have all year to do maintenance on these vehicles, and you chose not to do that this
Probably
year.
somebody got a raise instead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, trust me, I know, because like we keep trying to send materials down to Tennessee where I work, and everything's getting stuck in Memphis. And like my one project lead that I assist, he's like, well, everything's getting stuck in Memphis. And I'm like, yeah, Tennessee doesn't know how to do this. So you're just going to have patience, or I don't know, see if a truck will take them a different way, but everything's going to stop there until it's like 90 degrees outside. Sorry.
So if you
Jesus Christ,
I know-
they can't handle it. I'm like, nope. They roll up the sidewalks and everything over a half an inch,
I know our audience can't see this, but I'm doing this for you. If you see that I'm looking off to my side, apparently I have an unexpected visitor in the office, and she's walking over here. She's
Got a little kitty.
currently crawling. She probably wants my water. Here she is. Yeah. And it's my cat Tish,
Aw.
and she wants to be
pretty baby.
in the room,
Aw.
don't you?
You're making me miss having a kitty cat.
All right, so I'm gonna get her out real quick.
Otherwise, she's just going to keep crawling up there, making life a little harder. There you go. She's probably so upset at you right now. She's like, God damn it, Dad. Why can't I be in the nice warm room with your water? Is she going to scratch?
I'm sure she'll try to sneak back in because we usually have the door sealed off to where she can't get up under it, but she found a way. And maybe I probably need to seal it from this side. I think it's sealed from the outside, so she could just pull it out. So that's not helping matters. I need to get something.
Yeah, they're
from in
smart, man.
Yeah.
If you give them long enough to figure out what's in their way,
here.
and then if you move it, they're usually pissy. Like, great, I just had that figured out.
Anyway, you brought a topic today. You wanted to talk about something that's actually been a pretty big deal in certain the entertainment industry as a whole, I guess, here lately.
Yes.
So-
here as of late, I'm sure we all saw this coming. I know all of us have been complaining about it for years and trying to have that argument like everything's gonna shut down and you're gonna be, well, guess what? What we're talking about today is how people are trying to prep us for not owning anything digital any longer. I knew I was kind of seeing it coming for a long time because us PC gamers kind of got ditched for the physical long time ago. Like we got left behind a long time ago. So like I can't even remember the last time I've seen a physical PC game outside of like those card games or, gambling games that you might see at a Walmart or something in a disc next to, if they even do that anymore. I don't know. Most computers don't even have optical drives anymore, but which again, why you don't have physical anymore. But yeah, of course, I'm sure most people have heard, or at least in our space, sounds like what's rich to me is The Source kicking off this one, by the way. But, publisher Ubisoft was wanting to let us all know, maybe we should start getting gamers ready for the idea that it's going to be streamers heretofore as opposed to you actually getting to buy a game and keep it. And I mean, from Ubisoft of all people, they don't really release that much. And to not release that much and then to try to drive everyone to your streaming service instead, it just seems like a really weird timing for that. Maybe if you were a little bit more successful in the moment, I'd be like, what are you talking about? But we've already seen it happen with Sony, for instance, where they lost the rights to something that was being shown on their service, and people who had bought that movie was advised that after whatever date it was in December, you were no longer going to have access to it, even though you paid a full price for a movie. So I don't know. I was kind of wanting to kind of talk about, well, how garbage that is and the kind of potential problems that I see pop up from doing stuff like this. I don't know. Personally, I think it's garbage, of course, but I've always thought making me only own digital for the longest time was garbage. I was not happy about that in the first place, but I'm still a PC gamer. I don't have choices. I have to go online to like Steam, Epic, if you're, go to their GOG. I have that option, which is a little bit more attractive these days since it is DRM free still. So I could download these. They are on my computer. I don't need their launcher to make it run until until they stop doing it, I guess. But so far, if I can get GOG to work, it seems like it's a 50-50 if I'm going to get to download the whole game or not, which is why I don't go to them as much as I would love to. And then I could still burn that to a disc or a I don't know, thumb drive or something like that. What are the kids calling them these days? And then I could still have my game, Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts? I'm not a fan of like now everywhere telling me that you're just going to be basically giving me a large chunk of sum of money for an indefinite period of time until I decide it's gone.
Yeah, no, I don't like this concept. I know it's also seeped into movies. We've been hearing some rumblings that they studios want to do away with physical media, which is absurd when you cannot tell me they do not make money hand over fist in physical media still to this day.
I would think so, but I mean, I can't remember the last time I bought anything like that. Well, streamers have done that for me for movies.
Sure.
But we still have bought a movie like off of Amazon or something. Now I wonder, well, whenever that production company decides it's up, did I just lose that $30?
Yeah, and I don't like that because when I buy a movie now, like physical media, I always want to be sure. Now, there are options or certain distributors that don't do this, which understandable, but I want to make sure that I have a digital code. Now, I have my digital library, I have my physical library, and I kind of want them to be in tandem with one another. Now, granted, there might be some digital titles that I do not have physically, but that's out of a matter of convenience. Whatever the situation may be, maybe I can't find this particular one or maybe the deal for it, because if it's 4K, that's another great example. Like I don't actively go out of my way to buy a digital copy of something in 4K if I'm not going to have like a physical copy of it too, because for me, that is what I'm paying for is the quality and the quality of something like a movie on 4K in a player versus streaming it. It's not apples to oranges because if your service, very much as you were kind of using games as an example, if it's not running at top capacity, you're not going to be getting the top visual fidelity. That's what I'm trying to get.
If your servers are garbage, HBO, sorry, Max. So even if I did buy it on there and it's not running well, I don't see anybody trying to fix these things. Like even with Ubisoft, their launcher and stuff doesn't run that smoothly. So again, the source of this one, like you need to have all of your ducks in a row before you want to be the one leading a charge on something. Yeah. Your servers are crap. Maybe you release Assassin's Creed and Just Dance. Okay. But is that a service make? I don't know. If you're a huge Ubisoft fan, maybe it is. It'd be worth it for you to pay the $15 or whatever it is they want a month for their Ubisoft Plus extra, whatever the crap it's called. But again, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I personally, even if I was in love with Assassin's Creed games, I feel like once I've played it, I've played it. Just Dance, I could maybe see that, on a rolling thing. But like, I don't know, 15. I should look up what it is. But I wanted to say it was like 15 or $20 a month. It wasn't cheap.
Well, even like you said, the the idea that this company is like, well, we have so many amazing games that we can create an entire curated digital streaming service for our games, and then you look through and it's like 10 Assassin's Creed games, like 6 Far Cry games.
Oh yeah.
Then you start going into some other. See, that's how little I don't even. Rabbids, I think, is a thing of theirs.
Oh, maybe it is. Yeah.
But still.
I guess in theory, Skull and Bones is supposedly a real thing that they've been working on.
But.
Lies.
But regardless, you have one franchise, so many titles. Like you said, you played one, you played them.
Yeah.
Just
and like, I'm not
setting.
judging other people. If you love them and you want to play them more than once, by all means, it was your money spent. You go for it. I just can't see me paying that much a month to go back to that same thing. Now, if you're moving over to something like Game Pass, where the offering is much more plentiful, I wouldn't say like huge, but the offering is pretty decent,
Sure.
And at least they're offering you some like AAA stuff, and they got the indie stuff going on in there. Now, if you're looking at something like that, I consider that a nice bonus.
Mhm.
I would never want it to take over.
Sure.
You know, I would never want the only way I game is to having to sign up for one of these services to have it offered to me. In the long run, maybe it's better if I was the type that bought like 2 or 3 AAA games a month, maybe even just one.
Sure.
You know, I'm saving money as long as it's being offered there and you play it, you beat it, good. But what if you wanted to play it again, but in 6 months it was taken off the service? And then can I buy it? I can't, but now for me, it's more now I'm in I have to wait for what you decide can be offered to me. We're letting the market tell me what I can and can't play. And that's the shift that I'm not agreeing with, especially when you're still going to monetize the crap out of your game.
Sure.
When you're going to put in all of these microtransactions or you want to make a game as a service or all this kind of stuff. Now, if I'm dumping all that into it and you take the game away, like, there's a lot of questions I have about how that's supposed to work.
Well, I think games as a service is another part of this puzzle that they've seen, they're looking at, and they're like, well, you know, these things work to a point. How they seem to think that it's viable, all because one game, as far as I'm concerned, one game got it right and has been making money hand over fist. Actually, probably the only one that's made profit out of this.
Like an insane amount.
Yeah.
Too, yeah.
And that's Fortnite.
And have paid plenty of fines.
Sure.
And still.
And is still pushing forward. Whatever that anomaly was, worked. And all these corporations, they want it so bad. And they're trying their damnedest to replicate the success of that. And I don't think it's going to work because they don't understand what made that work to begin with. Because if I'm not mistaken, that game started off free, did it not? And
well,
still
no,
technically
actually,
is.
What I remembered was it was like a $30 or $40 tower defense game.
Oh, okay.
Is what I remembered. Now, it might have been something even before that, because I feel like it was around a good 6 or 7 years in some form before it took off as the Battle Royale version that we know it is today. Fortnite, if you guys don't know what we're talking about. I don't know that we actually said the title, but I'm sure everyone knew. So I remembered playing it as that.
Okay.
And then it seemed like within a few months of me, because somebody had given me a key for it, actually, which was the only reason why I had played it. And it was on stream. And then I feel like a few months after that is when I saw that new game mode. And then it was never anything else.
And that came out around the time that PUBG did. Because I remember PUBG was the big thing.
Well, there was one right before it, too. Something Z.
DayZ?
Maybe?
Is that it?
DayZ.
Yeah.
No, maybe.
There were too many Z titles.
There was like one, and then the one you're talking about, PUBG, kind of started to make it a little more popular, and then it seemed like Fortnite just ran with it and made it huge. But Fortnite was free.
Yeah, and then
PUBG was not.
And you know, I'll always tell people to do this because I always find it to be just one of the more amazing things to always look back on the original show and the original Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo show. If you go back to the way beginning before this iteration, when we had Todd and John on, our co-host John, he said, you know, we had that discussion, Fortnite or PUBG, and he was like, it's going to be Fortnite. He said, I promise you, that's going to be huge. And we're just like, you think so? And he's like, oh yeah. It's gonna dominate. You just watch. And he was right. We did not believe him, but he was right.
He had his finger on the pulse of something there.
Yeah, he saw the writing on the wall, and I was surprised. He called it. So, but I don't. Just because that works, and there are iterations. I've even thought about this too, like Madden, for example. This is a game that comes out, or maybe it still does. I don't.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah. Well, we know for sure, like the basketball ones and stuff like that. I think you still get everywhere. Sports.
That, Call of Duty, these games that have multiple yearly entries. That's your game as a service that you need to be working on. You know, know people are going to be coming to this. You know that all you have to do is update the roster every year, and then they get to have the players that they want for their teams. And I guarantee you could charge $70 a year, and you got your game.
Oh, yeah. They'd want more than that for sure.
Sure.
Because they're also going to charge you the stupid crap.
Yeah, they'll still do everything.
Because, like, sports games, I think, are really bad about that. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't play sports games. But I feel like they're one of the largest culprits for microtransactions and things. Because you want to buy your new players or... I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't play them, but I'm sure there's like a lot of things you can spend money on to be better.
But we've heard the FIFA scandal that came out.
Golden basketball. I don't know.
You remember there was that whole big deal that they were nickel and diming the shit out of people in FIFA a couple of years back?
That's EA. So, I mean, are we shocked?
No.
EA, nickel and dime people? What? But yeah. Yeah. Because I think they don't even have FIFA anymore.
No. Maybe not. That might have been why.
They named it something else now. Like, I think they're still going because they still, I don't know. That's not what we're talking about. I'd have to go back and look, but I remember that whole tomfoolery of they were losing the license for FIFA, but they still had the license for all the, like, players. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah. Now, I wasn't, I'm hoping that no corporations listened and I gave them an idea, but they would take it. They would run with it.
Yeah, $70 a year actually is cheaper than Game Pass if you think about it. That's like $120 a year because they want $11 a month. So, but I'm not just getting a basketball game.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. You're not just getting that. But then they would also be like, well, you already pay $70 for a new game every year, so it's the same. It's the same.
Yeah.
Just get it all year, update it all the time.
Not for you to take it away from me. Now, if it's under this understanding, like with Game Pass, and I am renting this for a time, whatever's on the service, it's fine. It's explicitly laid out to me as that way. But what I've been seeing happening is like people are getting blindsided by these things with stuff that they've already put their money into. And they're going to be like, it's in your EULA. Every single human on the face of the earth knows us Joe Schmoes are not reading an entire EULA. It's full of crap we don't even understand, and purposefully to be that way, to the point where I've even heard some people, like, if lawsuits and stuff happen, that even judges are like, screw off. Like, there's no way that this was legal just because you slipped it in there,
Sure.
But again, should we be? I don't know. But like at the beginning of every game, I don't want 1,000-page homework. Just because you want to dot all your I's and cross your T's to be able to screw me out of that money at some point later on,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we should be. But even if I did understand it, what am I going to say? Well, no. Like gamers, we're going to hit yes because we want to play the damn game.
Well, see, what the biggest irony of it is if you take a look at a lot of things that we have stories, numerous stories, going kind of back to movies for a second, where you hear about movie prints, like actual negatives being damaged, destroyed through time, through accidents, things like that. So now we don't have an accurate record of these things. I was even reading this morning, which I didn't know. Apparently the original negative to Gojira from Japan, the original Godzilla film from 1954, doesn't exist anymore.
See?
And so I guess, and the only reason I found that out is because some of the other movies are getting 4K restorations and they get to go back to the original negative. But that film and its sequel, Godzilla Raids Again, will never see a proper 4K restoration through the original negative because it does not exist. This is the issue. Okay.
Yeah.
The preservation. How many times do we hear that a movie or something like that got, or
just gone,
an iconic thing? They have, what was it? The Library of Congress. So we put these items in the Library of Congress to preserve them. So if we're doing that, is it just so we don't have to worry about what the corporations are doing so they can go ahead and just delist everything? Because we're going to talk about something in a few weeks. I don't want to say it now, but this also ties in to this lack of physical media that we can't seem to find.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of in the same vein, going back to games, though, Godzilla, the PS4 Godzilla game, or PS3, PS4, apparently it got delisted. You can't find it anywhere.
Nintendo's the biggest culprit for that.
Yeah, Nintendo's bad about it,
They'll take their servers down for whichever platform that they had. I feel like the Vita and with the 3D thing or whatever was probably hit the hardest because those stores were shut down. But then if you did not already have it, Done. It's like that game never existed.
Yeah.
And people would give you money for these things. That's what I don't understand. Like, maybe not leaving it on a server makes sense. I don't know. For the maintenance and upkeep of a server, I don't know. But like, I feel like it just can't be that much to leave something up for someone to give you money and download a thing. Now, this might be my ignorance talking, but if somebody's still willing to give you $20 for it and then you're mad we steal it, all I'm hearing is thieving games again.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, it's
like, this is all this stuff is telling me, because even today I was reading about how Blizzard's wanting to give you a survey on how you'd feel about paying $100 for DLC. So they're trying to get us prepped for like $100 games and stuff. For you to take it away from me?
By the time we get done with it, we've already paid well over $100 for a lot of these games.
Damn, you're right.
With the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So
sometimes they're selling you those big bundles initially $100 so you could get all of the players or, I don't know, extra this, that, or the other to make you pre-order a thing or something. So it's like, maybe some games make sense, because I see GTA flirting with that idea or something, or people talking about it, for GTA 6. Well, if you played 100 hours in the game and it's $1 an hour, it's like fair. To an extent, fair. Like, GTA people have been playing 5 for 10 years now?
Yeah, which I don't understand, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it just, you can't deny the success it's had, especially online. So, but, we've already got to that 60 ceiling. Now they're going to the 70 ceiling. And I don't know that we could have those two conversations at the same time, wanting to charge us more or not letting us own the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to pick a lane for this particular one. My fear is gamers never, ever stand on their morals.
Never.
If they want the thing, they're going to get the thing, even though they know they're getting screwed over for the thing. This is the one thing that pisses me off so much, is hearing all these people complain, and then you do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because we have no patience or whatever the case may be. So, unfortunately, you start charging that, people are just going to pay for it. And then no lessons have been learned.
Sure. I like to use the comparison of video games and films, because I feel like even though they're just forms of entertainment, how I consume them may differ than how you consume them and other people. Sure. But logically, I get where I'm at with it. So with games, I've really veered away from physical media. Probably one of the reasons they're leaning this way, because people like me are just being like, well, here's the copy of the digital, so why don't I just do that? But use Todd as an example. Great example, because how many times do we have to hear about his internet failing?
Oh, yeah, that's another thing.
Okay, and that's what I wanted to get to. For me, I have good internet. I can download a game and, pretty quick. So I don't have to worry about that. It doesn't matter how big the file is. Take a few minutes. I got it. Boom. Done. I'm ready to go. People who do not have that, if they wanted to download, what's the newest big game that took like 2 discs here lately?
Yeah. Like, oh man.
Starfield, was that big?
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
Because it's like 150 gigs or something like that. I don't know. Maybe more.
Okay.
But ridiculous.
So you've got this massive game, but maybe you have subpar
12
internet.
megabit internet.
Yeah. You're going to take all day to download.
Maybe 2.
And granted, I understand that they also have those day one patches that doesn't help.
Oh, because they're not selling you the whole game on the disc.
Sure.
That's another issue for another topic, but yeah.
But at least instead of sitting at home waiting 8 hours, you could drive down to the GameStop in about 20 minutes and come back home, pop in the disc, and have that upload what it can, and saves you some time because you got a physical copy.
Yeah.
So just because I don't need it doesn't mean that other people don't.
And I mean, hello, Stadia.
Yes.
Let's just look at them for a moment. Great idea, but...
And that was one of those, that's a prime example of a company that, at least luckily, some of the developers came out unscathed, because it comes down to that game Guilt that I mentioned. That was the biggest thing that I had concerns with when the whole Stadia thing started, is they had that as their exclusive. There may have been others, but I don't remember. That was the only one that caught my eye.
That was the only one, honestly, but I mean, I don't remember anymore. Yeah.
But I was worried when they said it was getting shut down. I was like, so this game is just going to disappear. No one's ever going to get to play it again because their stupid thing that we all knew was not going to last is just going to fall apart.
And at least they made it right with the consumers also, which I don't see EA doing or Ubisoft doing or heck, I'm sorry, even Sony doing. Like your big players that own all of the monopoly. Like Microsoft, maybe. I don't know. They seem to like to throw money around everywhere so they can be number one. So they might allow some tomfoolery there for a little bit just to look better than the competitors for a moment until they run out of that money and lay people off. But, they're not going to be honest about it. I'm still surprised Google did. You just don't expect any corporation to give enough of a crap about any actual consumer anymore because customer service is no longer a thing and hasn't been for quite a long time. But moving forward, I don't see other companies doing something like that. Like if my movie was delisted, are you offering me any kind of percentage off for something? Are you giving me any kind of consolation prize for having spent $40, $50 on a 4K? You'll have to tell me how much the movies are when we get up there because I don't really buy movies.
I'm cheap.
What would be like a 4K movie normally? Like a new release 4K?
New release at most that I've paid, I'd probably say somewhere between $30 to $40, somewhere in that range, depending on where I bought it, depending on what it is. Because usually a new movie that comes out now, you could probably get it for $29.99 before tax.
Okay.
Genuinely. But if you're looking for something a little bit more, I don't want to say niche, but like Shout Factory, Arrow Video, these curated selections of movies where they go back and they really remaster these old titles. These are the people who are going to save physical media. But something tells me that somewhere along the lines, the corporations are either going to say, well, if they want it, they can get it from them. Doesn't matter. And then they allow them the license to do so. Or they're like, hey, they're stealing our money. Fuck them. We got to stop giving them license.
They're just going to undercut them, which is going to make people want to pay for the digital copy anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be cheaper. We were having that discussion before with like why physical games and download games were the same price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, logically it does not make sense, right? Because they're actually burning discs and making cases and mailing them out and all this kind of stuff. However, it would have totally shut down the whole physical brick and mortar thing because humans are still going to go for the cheaper option.
Yep.
We may not even see that being the case anymore because, honestly, then screw it. You're getting rid of it anyway. So then make it cheaper. But they won't. I know how it works. Things never get cheaper. It just might stagnate getting more expensive. But if you're going to make me go all digital, then why isn't it $20 instead of $40? Or even give me a $10 off discount or something.
Yeah.
But they like making that extra cash. So it's never going to go down, people. The price, when have you seen prices go down on anything? Except for maybe mortgages and stuff, as the, inflation moves up and around. But physical goods and stuff, I never really see it with the exception of a sale here and there where they're going to lower the price for good.
Sure.
Once it's gone up, companies enjoy that extra cash and they're not going to give it up. Look at gas, for crying out loud. They enjoy making that. Do they need to charge that much still? Probably not,
No, but they will.
I don't know. Today's a little bit extenuating circumstances, but still, they could get away with less, but now that they've gotten away with the 3.5 or 4, depending on where you live, it's going to stay there. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it drop since Hurricane Katrina.
It's true.
That ought to tell you something there, how long. So, I used to pay under $1.
I remember those days.
Yeah, wasn't it nice? $6 filled up your whole gas tank. It was so great.
$1 million I could fill up my tank and go inside and get a snack.
I remember 75 cents is the cheapest I can actually remember gas being. And then it was $1, and then Katrina hit and it went well over $2, and I've never seen it come back down since. But anyway, I think my point was made.
Yeah, and
people won't lower things.
For anyone out there who does not remember those times, who never had a car during the cheap days of gas, it was nice.
And you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I know that it's gone up a lot if you take a look, but if you really think about it, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too deep because we're trying to talk about the other thing, but
right.
if you take a look at where gas prices were maybe back in the 50s, to the 80s and 90s, the price difference did not go up that much. Not compared to 90s to where we are today.
Oh, yeah.
The percentage is spiked.
Yeah.
Way higher.
Way up. 300%, 400%, 500%. Yeah.
So that should tell you something about some of these greedy bastards. But
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exxon's got a yacht, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what was it? $4 billion in profits that one year during the war. And they were just like, oh, I'm sorry. There's nothing we could do.
They
It's
always
like,
come out on top.
Of course not.
Even during the pandemic, they made money hand over fist. It's always they always get to profit in the times of bad and socialize their losses. It's just how it's always been. But yes. So coming back to the digital, I feel like once they get going, they're just going to keep upping those prices, especially now that I see them talking about wanting us to get used to like $100 for a game, or would you pay $100 for a game, like that little survey or whatever that they put out. I mean, like, why pass out the survey? You're going to charge $100. They're going to still pay for it. I can only do so much by relinquishing my own money, and I'm already kind of cheap as it is. I don't really like to buy games over $20.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way. So you can charge
with few exceptions.
Yeah,
there are exceptions, sure, but like for the most part, I'll wait till it drops.
But the exceptions, though, those are games that you confidently feel are worth it for whatever reason. There's a trust, or at least I have it, and I feel like you do too. There's just you see it, you sense it. You're like, yes, this is going to be a good game. It's not going to take advantage of me. It's going to be solid. I will willingly,
the developers.
Put down the money for these developers because they do great work. I want to support their project. And I think that's the way it should be, because I don't want to, like, sure, there are games.
You want to feel like you got value.
Yeah. So,
for your money. Money's tight these days, people. We're all feeling that, right? So if you have a little bit of expendable cash, you want it to make sense. You want it to last a little bit of extra time. I understand people go to the movies, spend like $50 now, and you watched it that one time.
Sure.
Like there are exceptions where you just want to get out of the house or do something, but like for the most part, you're buying the experience, I think there. You're getting to be around other people who might also be getting into the movie and making it a little bit more fun, or, does popcorn need to be $30? No, but I mean, they're not making money anywhere else. They're not making money off those tickets. So it's like, I kind of get it, but I don't know. I stand by it. Like, if you have a little bit of expendable cash, you're going to want to make sure it's making sense and that you're going to get the most out of it that you can, and not feel like you got screwed or cheated, And
it's funny you say that. I genuinely feel that if I had a couple of $1 million in my hands right now, I would still be finding a way to cheap out on every little thing. Just to stretch.
That's how you stay a millionaire.
Yeah.
Look at the rich people. They hoard. See, that's just how you stay rich.
And, I get it to a point. If it was screwing over someone less fortunate, no. But I'm just talking like if I was doing shopping, for the typical things that I shop, I would still look at video games and be like, I'm not paying $70 for that shit. You wait, right? Come back to me when you got it down to 20, and then we'll talk. We'll figure it out.
Or add a whole lot more content that's going to make me happy.
Yeah.
I know everyone's talking about Larian, but that's still like a very good recent example of somebody charging $60 and like getting well over your money's worth. I mean, if you're not into that genre, don't do it. You're just going to hate life. People who hate turn-based or anything, you're going to have a bad time, Yeah. But like, I've put in over 300 hours in this game off and on since I've gotten it. I still have other playthroughs I want to run. $60, 300 hours. There's still way more game for me to see. Worth it. And they're putting out digital, physical copies of their game. A team I want to support. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. A team I want to support. So, and thankfully they actually piped up about this whole thing too, where they were just like, so you guys will get to decide which dominant model and which select group gets to go to market or not. And he's like, nope, direct from developers to the players is the way. And you know what? Yes. I honestly wish we could get developers to have ways where they don't even need these freaking publishers that sometimes are what's making the problem, you know?
Yeah.
Put it out now. We need the money now. It's not ready. You know, it's like, let them cook.
Yeah.
Leave them alone, you know? I don't know. You just get like a good team or something like that that's like, hey, we're going to give you bang for your buck. Great. You want a physical copy? Awesome. You want a digital? Who cares? You want a book? You want a steel book? You want how back in the day when we used to get all that stuff? Here. Love it. Now it's mine. And us PC gamers didn't get left behind in that one because I was totally expecting it to just be a console only thing. But when I saw their physical copy thing that they're releasing, like I could get it. And I was just like, oh shit. I don't remember the last time anyone sent me a physical PC game.
So you mentioned the UALA or EULA. Blah, I'm trying to get the acronym right. The EULA. So you mentioned that, and obviously there's something in the text, in the legal text, that states that they can remove your access to this. Now, from what legal standpoint would they be able to do so? I mean, would there not be some understanding that they could possibly create a law, or some people could sue to explain why this is legal? That you pay for something that is not a rental, but is defined as a purchase. You are buying it.
It is for sale. Yes.
That this cannot be your personal property, whether it's in your digital library or whatever, because they can't even say, well, because of this. There are, like, you can connect all of your movie libraries from Vudu to Movies Anywhere to YouTube to Amazon Prime. All of these can, be put into the same category. Now, they do have this stupid, which I do not understand. If I buy something on Amazon, it's not going to show up in my Vudu. Conversely, if I buy certain movies on Vudu, they will not show up anywhere else. Like, I have to watch them there.
Yeah.
And I don't, like, that seems kind of like if they did Steam like this, where you could have your Steam games everywhere. You could play them on GOG, you could play them on Epic, you could do all this. That somewhere they would be like, well, this was our game under our company. You're not going to be able to play that over there. So I kind of get that. Maybe to a point. But again, you bought it. How is this
I still
legal?
think that there has to, I mean, the only way that a law is going to get passed is if it screws over Congress somehow. Like, we never see anything like that move until, like, they're getting screwed somehow. And I don't know how you'd screw them out of gaming or movies or something. I don't know. Maybe if we're releasing what movies they're buying, like how they did with VHS, because isn't that the only way that we finally got that law where, like, people could just, like, look up your Blockbuster history, and everyone, Congress is like, no, it's not a privacy thing. And then some dude hacked it and was like, well, do you want us to release what movies you all were renting? And then, all of a sudden we had laws to protect our privacy there. So maybe they need to check their accounts. Maybe they've all got a bunch of porn games or something, and then we've got to threaten them that way. And then they'd be like, nope, we've got to be able to sell it to keep, and it should not show up on anyone's account if they want to keep it
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be something like that for them to do anything.
And it's just so ridiculous because, now granted, I understand legally now, because it's in the fine print, that they could argue, well, you signed it. This is what you're paying for. I'm sorry you didn't read the fine print, but it said right there that this is you're buying a license, not the game. But again, much like you said, you're paying the same price as anyone who goes out and buys it physically.
And it's very much phrased in a way to make me believe that I am owning this thing. When you're putting it on a storefront that says for sale. Now, if it was saying license purchase for 6 months or some crap like that, if you were more, okay. I couldn't deny that. The button that I hit said it was for a license or anything like that. But when you're saying for sale to my account, and then in the EULA, you want to be like, well, JK. Like, we would need more transparency on the front half, on the storefronts.
Sure.
Because, like, it's very easy to assume that you own that, regardless of if you have it in your 1,000-page EULA. That way we don't, like, And they know we don't see those things.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody does.
No.
They probably don't even know what's in their whole freaking EULA. You know, they have like a team of 100 lawyers sitting around gobbledygooking this thing up. You know, like.
I just feel like there's got to be a way somewhere in there legally that could be fought somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like
it's not consumer friendly.
No, because to purchase something. So what happens if it gets relisted for whatever reason? Do you now get your copy back? Do you get it now, or are they going to be like, well, that was before. Now we've got it relisted with whatever fixed it legally that caused us to delist it in the first place. Now you have to rebuy it with this new contract and this new.
We had to swap out a song.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. But why? But again, physical media can go unscathed, untouched. So if you came out with something, a great example, The Simpsons season 3, the first episode of that season, you cannot find anywhere on streaming. But if you have a physical copy, you got it,
baby.
And that's the Michael Jackson episode. For those who are unaware.
Okay.
So as soon as all the shit came out about him with the one documentary that besmirched him,
whatever side of this is just what happened. Yeah.
I genuinely I want to touch on this real quick. I genuinely don't know what to believe.
I never watched it.
Well, not even through that, but it's just like there's so many back and forth stories. He's a monster. He's an angel. He's a monster. He's an angel. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know either. I mean, I think we all at least realize celebrity does not mean they're good people.
No.
Probably more so these days than, before. But yeah, I really don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I just know he was a strange dude towards the end, and
but
I don't know.
Yeah, but point being, they decided to pull that episode, which is weird that the Cosby Show is still streaming.
Is it?
Yeah,
I thought that was pulled.
No, it's still streaming.
Because wasn't that what the rest of the cast was actually pissed about? Because they were like, some of them were living on the residual still, and then maybe it just got shut down for a bit.
I mean, maybe
I know that Malcolm was like, yo, some of us get paid from that too, but it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, it was just a bad situation, like a really, really, really awful situation.
It's a conversation that's hard to have.
It is.
Because you take a look at all the pies his fingers were in, especially in his heyday, and
oh my God, very beloved, like America's dad, dude. Like
we saw a commercial the other day, and I can't remember what it was, why it got brought up, but Katrina just looked at me and she's like, why is it every time we turn around he gets brought up? And I was like, because it's kind of important to the history of the story they're telling.
It's a big deal, yeah.
Because
this is huge.
They were talking about Jell-O pudding, and it's
like now are you supporting him if you buy Jell-O? Like, I don't know.
It's like I just love when it's so hot outside, and I just want to have a Jell-O pudding pop.
You guys can't see, but he's making the face.
I'm doing the face and going, girls, or whatever.
Oh.
Sorry. We don't need to do that. He's a character. You know what? So is that wrong to make fun of Bill Cosby now? Or like mock his voices?
I don't know what the rules of anything are anymore.
I don't either.
I honestly don't. It'll switch on a dime. So I just try to keep my mouth shut because I was probably fine yesterday, but then tomorrow something changed, and then all of a sudden I'm a horrible, hateful person. I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
What happened? So you can't be PC anymore because whatever's PC just changes depending on who you're talking to. So there's no common anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I hate this world.
That impression used to be my bread and butter in high school. I guess that was like the only one that I was really good at. So.
Oh, with the Fat Albert thing?
Well, no, just Bill Cosby in general. It was like one of those. You got the jocks, and then you got the outcasts, misfits, or whatever, and all that. I'm kind of in between. Like I could win them all over just by going pudding pop, and then yeah, it was weird.
It was a big deal. He was funny.
Yeah,
I mean, you still can't say he wasn't talented in the arts.
Mm-hmm.
if you can separate the two, great. I feel like this one's a little more egregious that I just don't know how to separate those two things. There are some people where I can, and then this one, I don't know how to compartmentalize that one. It was just too awful. It was just too awful.
Well, we were watching something the other day with someone terrible in it, and I was just watching it, and I was like, huh.
Russell Brand, we don't like him anymore either. I didn't like dive deep into it, so don't come at me, guys. Like, he should have been. He's a garbage. I didn't really dive into what the thing was. I think I was over caring about celebrity crap at that point.
Yeah, he was always one of those that he made me laugh pretty good once or twice in some movie or comedy. I don't remember what it was. I just remember there was at least a moment in time where I was like, he's pretty funny, and I guess that's about as far as I cared. You know, it's like you'd see him again. It was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then you're just kind of done with him.
I never went out of my way to watch the guy. Yeah. If he landed in something I was already watching, fine. You know, outside of that, no, I don't really know what all he did. I just know comedian in theory.
And everybody's garbage anymore, apparently.
I mean, if you're really looking to any celebrity or something, I think there's just going to be some squeaky clean. There's always going to be somebody pissed about something.
Yeah.
I think we all know that today. Like, nobody can be perfect in anyone's eyes because they're just going to keep looking for the thing that makes you not perfect so they can, like, not allow other people to enjoy a thing.
Yeah. Everybody on both sides needs to get fucked because...
Yeah. Just let people enjoy a thing. If you didn't like it, fine. Move on. You don't got to create 30 YouTube videos about why we're all garbage because we don't agree with you. It's like, good God, come on.
I mean, just because I don't go out of my way to watch whatever Jesus-y, Christian-y movie that they're doing on whatever those fucking stupid...
Hallmark, maybe?
Hallmark, yeah. Like...
some Kirk Cameron
Jenny's
tomfoolery.
coming home for Christmas or whatever, and
oh yeah,
I don't care. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Yeah.
There's people out there who probably look forward to them every year.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
If that brings them so much joy,
have it, man.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to. It brought you 90 minutes of, just pure bliss. Whatever. Because you're like, oh, this is so beautiful.
Just
fantastic.
Your heart.
Doesn't matter. Just because we don't enjoy it doesn't mean I'm going to steal it from anybody else. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
That is the one thing that just bothers me the most about, like, with how we do things today. It's not a garbage thing because you don't like it. It just means it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
But the habit of, they're not funny. It's garbage. You all are stupid. But, like, who gave you the authority to be the only one who understood art and entertainment?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why you thought, like, when I would see people like Friends was garbage and was not funny. Really, it was a global phenomenon. So I would have to say you are alone in this opinion.
Yeah. But guess what?
It was not garbage. You just didn't like it.
Yeah.
You can't deny the numbers and the facts that it's still in syndicate to this day.
And guess what? It's okay if you didn't like it.
Yeah. Like, you can have other things,
But yeah. I would genuinely want to know what their preference is. Like, if they didn't like Friends, not to say that, like, I know we've had this discussion, which is better. I even saw that in a History of the Sitcoms documentary.
What, between, like,
Friends
I think it was
and
Seinfeld.
Yeah, it's like Friends or Seinfeld. And you'd be surprised. I think it was Lisa Kudrow.
Not a lot of crossover, right?
No. It was just like, which is better? Which is funniest? Which is the best sitcom? And they were just asking random people, like whoever was in the documentary. And it was almost like, I remember Lisa Kudrow said Seinfeld. And then I think you go over to the other side and Jason Alexander was like, no, it's Friends. So they have respect for one another's shows.
Yeah. And it was okay.
Yeah.
Like, even when I was growing up, I remembered it being more either you liked one or the other. I didn't really know a whole lot of people who did both. I was Friends. I didn't care for Seinfeld. I never said it was garbage. Yeah. I just didn't care for it,
And that's fine.
I think that's just the one thing that bothers me with how people... I think you just got to be salacious enough for people to want to click on things because everyone wants to make money off their thoughts. And even so, if you bought it, you wouldn't get to own it. So.
That's right. You would just have to watch it disappear.
Buy all of Seinfeld. Yeah, and it's just gone.
Is, I mean, and you see that, like, that alone, the Seinfeld deal and even Friends... what they did for them for streaming, for those streaming services to be like, we got to lock this down. We got to lock it down.
Yeah.
To make sure that doesn't have streaming or physical copies, that would be some low down shit. But I mean, it works out because we're like, well, we paid all this money for you to come watch it over here. So we're going to take this away from you. So you have to watch it here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I mean. It's letting the market decide what we can and can't have.
Which is bullshit.
Agreed. Yeah. And I mean, I guess it kind of was in a sense anyway. You know, like if it wasn't on whatever streaming service, you know, what were you going to do? You either go buy the service that has it or you just sit and wait because like it's just nowhere to be offered. But yeah, I don't know. It's just that thought, like if I wanted to watch or play this thing 20 years from now, I should be able to.
Yeah. And I think what we're trying to get to the point of, if you want to hang on to it, just go ahead and buy it. Because I know that's been the rounds right now, especially in the movie world right now. If there's a movie you want, you better buy a physical copy right now, because
or that favorite moment gets edited out and you're not going to get to see it anymore.
Yeah, we don't know what they're going to do to movies anymore. And they could. That's a great example. I've never thought about that. But what if someone was like, well, there's something offensive in here. And
anything before 1990, really.
Now,
maybe even 95.
I would say I understand this one to a point. But it always irritated me. And I get it. I do understand it. Tom and Jerry, when they edited Mammy Two Shoes, you know, back in the early days, the 50s, 40s, 50s, when they first started doing those, she was a very...
We were awful in our cartoons in that day and age.
She was
very racist.
She was a stereotype. She was portrayed in a bad light.
Sure.
You know, depending on how you view it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I got those as a kid. And funny enough, I think that she was meant to be the maid of whoever lived in the house. But as a child, I just thought she was the owner of the house and Tom was her cat. You know?
Yep.
That's how I perceived it as a child. I never saw any racist undertones. I didn't look at her and think that's how all
We probably
black
weren't even
people are.
understanding that it was.
Exactly.
You know, like, I don't know that it would have clicked with me that it was being racist. Now, when I'm looking back on a lot of, like, Looney Tunes, now I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah. How many Al Jolson jazz singer references did they make?
Oh, my God. Well, even when we were in the war, most of the cartoons that came out of that, holy crap.
Yeah. Like,
it's very offensive.
The very first, I guess, racist thing that I ever saw, as far as a Bugs Bunny cartoon, is it was an old, like one of the very first VHS tapes we ever owned. Okay. And it was like a Popeye cartoon. Popeye meets Sinbad the Sailor. And then there were some other cartoons on the back end of it. So kind of filling up the tape. So it's not just one 20-minute something or another. And at the ass end of the tape, there was this old War Bonds ad, you know, hosted by Bugs Bunny. It was like, get your war bonds, and whatever, singing a song. It's like Porky and Elmer Fudd were with him too, trying to get you to buy your war bonds for World War II. And there was a moment where during the song, Bugs did kind of a switcheroo, and he came back going, Mammy! And it was like, at the time, I didn't understand that joke. Or the reference, I guess what was meant to be a joke, or I don't know what their intention was. It doesn't make sense when you think about it. Like, why did you put that in there? But
just to be mean.
I'm assuming it was meant to be a joke to reference, again, the jazz singer or whatever, but I didn't know what that meant. And I would watch it and be like, what is he doing? And then I just never understood it. Like, I did not grasp what they were attempting to do, even when I saw it. Like you said, a lot of those cartoons have those little racist things in them, and you just look at them, and I did not get it. I just thought, why are they portraying them to look like that? That just looks weird.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I really remember what I was thinking when I was watching it. I'm probably just like glossy eyed, just staring at a cartoon thing, and then went about my day. Like, I don't.
But again, to my point, There was that time where I guess it was Turner who owned Tom and Jerry at the time. They went back and redubbed all of her audio to make her sound different and try to re-portray who she was. And then it came down to that point where it was like, well, we can't release those cartoons anymore. It's like, yeah, but you're acting like that shit didn't happen.
Well, see, that's my problem. Like, I don't think we should change anything. You can opt to whether you want to continue to sell it or not. But I honestly think you need to preserve those things for better or worse. How are you going to learn anything if we keep going and like sanitizing the stuff in the past?
Yeah.
Then we're just going to keep remaking those mistakes because we have not. I mean, we still do anyway. Humans keep thinking, well, this time it's going to be different because I'm here, but like, no, I know. I don't ever agree, no matter how egregious it is, with going back and sanitizing a thing. Like, that's just how it was in that moment of time, and you can continue to imbibe it or not at this point. And that's how I feel about a lot of things, honestly. Like, take a little bit more ownership of what you're consuming. But yeah, no. I if I were wanting to buy something, I want it like how it came out.
And that was actually one of the reasons when they finally did come out with these, uncut collections. I snatched them up on DVD. And stuff like that. Even the Looney Tunes, they did that. And like, these are the original uncut cartoons. And again, it's not like I'm trying to preserve racism or something like that, where it'd be like, look how racist this is. This is hilarious. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's the fact that this is how they were. And that's the cartoon I want to see. Like you said, for better or worse. I'm not looking at it and viewing it in that regard.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to.
I just supported this. Yay!
Yeah.
Like
I want it to be so. This is something that my kids, my grandkids, and whomever can see as it's supposed to be, not as someone wants it to be remembered because they're worried about something. And that's the type of shit. Like, I'm surprised this whole getting rid of physical media hasn't happened sooner, because take a look at what Disney did with a lot of their shows when shit wasn't working, or Disney Plus, and they would have to re-upload better special effects or something. It's like, so now we can do that now? We can just edit on the fly and just re-upload shit and streaming, so we'll never know what the original copy is or the original version.
Yeah. They'll have already taken it down, redone it, or whatever. Yeah.
So I know we seem to be getting a roundabout way of talking about this, but it all connects back to the point we're trying to make. It's important to preserve this stuff. It's important to have copies, because if we continue down this road and there are no physical copies and say everything goes digital and then something crashes and all that data goes down the tube, guess what? No more fucking movies.
I mean, I've often worried about that with Steam. Like, if something were to happen, like, they're very strong and everything, and I wouldn't foresee it at least happening anytime soon. But nothing lasts forever. And if that whole thing tanks as the marketplace, are they going to continue to pay for every single game you've ever bought to be available for you to re-download? Probably not.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get a refund. So we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars just...
Yep.
Again, I didn't have choices. But again, I still paid for these games that I'm not going to have access to anymore.
Exactly.
And it's just how it is,
Yeah,
And I don't get to preserve anything, because no matter what, if they want to update it, the damn thing's going to update. The next time I go to download the game, it's going to include that update. I've already seen some of the ones that I'm playing now. Like, a difference or something gets nerfed here or changed there, where I'm like, why didn't I get to decide which version of like, I gave you money. I mean, you can go into offline mode, of course, if you want to keep that indefinitely. But still, if I needed to delete it for whatever reason, to make room for something and then to re-download it, that's gone. That version's gone.
Yep.
I'm just going to have to take the new one, So... yeah, I don't know. I just wish we'd be a little bit more consumer friendly. Like, my God, if you look just over how customer service and anything has gone over the last 100 years, it's like it doesn't even exist anymore. Nobody gives a shit about the consumer. Nobody's making laws to protect us as a consumer. They're just getting paid to go, okay, and look the other way. And, I mean, why does Microsoft own everything?
Yeah, no. God.
You know, like, how is that okay? So they're going to get to determine this. Like, this whole, like, telling us to get used to it, it's going to happen. You know, they're not even saying it quietly anymore. They're like, get used to $100, get used to it being gone at a moment's notice, and deal with it.
And I think this is one of the things that has driven me to have less and less time with my games. You know what I mean? Like, I remember I used to spend hours upon hours during the week. And granted, you know, adulting and whatnot. But when I really break it down and I think about it, I was like, well, you know, if I really wanted to commit to gaming like I used to, I'd be playing every evening, every afternoon, during the weekends, during the day, whatever. But I feel like there's maybe 2 times out of every week that I get to play games, and that's on Saturday and Sunday. And even then, it just depends on what the day is. You know, if I literally have nothing planned, then yeah, I could probably sit down for a couple of hours and play something. But I'm not going out of my way for this stuff anymore. I feel like the hobby is getting less and less interesting to me because I need something new. So if they want to continue down this path to where they're just making it more difficult for certain people to play games, you're going to lose us as customers.
Well, then I also wonder what that does to developers, right? Like, even if it was just like looking from an indie perspective, but, you know, like, you're getting to kind of decide what gets made then, I would imagine, too, because if we're getting to a point where everything is streamed, like, let's even say with Steam, they decided now it's a monthly thing or whatever, although they operate a lot differently. But so you're now also giving the control. Well, I've kind of already said this before with the market or whatever, but you are giving them the control of, like, how long, how much of games get made, what genre is getting made, you know, because if you get to that point, where do indie teams sell their games?
Yeah.
It would have to be to, like, a Game Pass. Now, are they getting enough to support anything good? Will we see these big blockbusters coming out anymore? Would we, you know, see anything of any real depth? Would it be worth it for them to put in that? I mean, you're looking at a lot of developers now. I mean, it's like it's almost not even worth it to be a developer anymore these days. You're going to get 100 times more hate and garbage for trying to do something you enjoy or for someone than a lot of industries, you know? So, like, we don't really deserve the games that get made already. But, I mean, let Ubisoft decide. Mm-hmm. We'd only have Assassin's Creed and Just Dance.
That's true. Just Dance.
So
that's
what
the
are
other
our
one.
options? Yeah. Like, Just Dance is the only one I can think of that I've ever bought. I think I bought 2 versions of it for, like, I don't know, there was like a stream goal or something that I met, and I told people I'd play Just Dance. So I think I've played it like 2 or 3 times. But yeah, I feel like those are the only 2 things. So then you're just allowing those developers that they bought the opportunity. I don't know. I could just see it being a whole mess.
Yeah.
Of it's going to suck for the consumer. We're going to be out more money. We're never going to own anything. And I don't know if the quality would keep up, because would it be worth it to put all of that 6, 7, 8, 10 years like people? And that's another thing. Do we need it to be $1 billion game?
No.
Like, I feel like you're purposefully making this hard by making these huge blockbusters that are more than a movie would take to make. Mm-hmm. Like, and I get you're sitting with games longer than you are a movie. Like, I get that. But, like, Jesus Christ, does it really have to be $1 billion and then we have to pay 100 so you can make up for it? It's like that experience could have been so much less and we would have been happy. Now, I know there's still going to be that niche group of people who are always going to be pissed. I have to have the top graphics. It has to be a 200 plus hour game. It has to, you know, but, like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel the most of us could forego some of that for a better gameplay experience or a better storyline, or, you know, like, I don't know. I think some Pixel games I've played were one of the best ever as far as, like, storylines and stuff go. And I'm sure that didn't cost them $10 million to make. Mm-hmm.
Like, there are 2 that I'm thinking of right now that would fit that bill perfectly, of games that are not the biggest graphically superior, but they're interesting. They're fun. And I'm going to save one because I want to talk about that probably on a future episode that I'm actually playing right now. But one I just happened to revisit just because, is Broforce, which was a Devolver release, and they had recently done, just out of the blue, because this game has been out for God knows how long now. It's been a while.
A decade or longer.
And they said, well, we're putting out a new update with new characters. Free, just like I was waiting. I was like, do I have to download something? They're like, no. Just I booted it up and boom, there it is. And it's ready to go. It's pixel graphics, but it's just you going around blowing the shit up of just everything. It's chaos, but it's so fun. And that's better than so many other action games that I've played. And that's the insane part, but they make it so fun that proves exactly
Sometimes
what you're talking about.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be all of that to be a good time.
Exactly. Hotline Miami. That's another
oh my God.
Great.
Yeah.
Just
great
simplistic.
Game. I love to throw pottery to their soundtrack.
Yeah, it's so good.
I really do. Most of the time when I go in now, I'm like, bloop, because there's no lyrics, so I can just kind of sink into it. But I do catch myself doing this a lot. And like, I probably should move around a lot when I'm like pulling a wall. But still, but yes, to your point, like it doesn't have to be all of that. And that's what pisses me off when I keep seeing like how expensive and how long it's taking for these games to be made. I'm like, who asked you to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm listening to you all whine and complain about how much money it's costing. Like, who asked you for it? Who asked you to do it? And we're not even seeing them be that successful.
No.
You know, like, look how much money they're pumping into Suicide Squad. I'm not anticipating that to be, you know, all that much. Or, you know, GTA is probably the only one I see coming out where I'm like, I have confidence it'll do well.
Mm-hmm.
And they did spend a stupid amount of money on it, you know. But I don't know, man. When I see these big blockbusters, and granted, I don't play them nearly as much AAA, but I don't see where all the money needed to go.
No, I don't either.
And with engines these days making graphics so much easier and stuff, like I don't know. I feel like everything's kind of plug and play anymore. You could get the Epic's engine or whatever. And I know there's some group of people about using those kinds of store-bought assets or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. If you make a really good game, I don't care if Epic created the tree for you and you just bought it and plopped it in. Like, I really don't care. You know, now if you're just rehashing the entire thing, you know, that's a problem. But like, if you don't have money to create a street or a town, you know, like, and this is what you have to do, but your gameplay is going to be solid and your story's awesome, I don't care. Yeah. Maybe I'm a minority on that thought, but like, I keep seeing some people going back and forth with like store-bought assets as opposed to like creating your own. And I don't know, I feel like we're all kind of down the middle.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of people who are just like, who cares? Unless you did the entire game that way, and then that might be an issue, you know, if like nothing's yours that you created. But again, solid gameplay and a good story, I don't give a shit where the tree came from.
Yeah.
I just, you know, like, or even a character model for an enemy, you know, like, did the enemy act the way it was supposed to? Was the AI correct? Was it, you know, appropriately hard? Was the hitbox in the right area? Good.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. I don't care that you bought it from blah, blah, blah.com, you know?
Yeah. But, I mean, anyway. even talking about, I know you mentioned something about pirating earlier, is, one person specifically that I know has kind of championed the idea is Stephanie Sterling, because I've heard them talk about that before.
You own it when you pirate it. Who's taking it back from me?
And, you know, I understand it's illegal, but when you don't give people a choice, and this is their only avenue to play said game that they enjoy,
and you're going to take it away,
you know, they're more than willing to give you money for it, you know,
and have.
I've even heard that.
Yeah.
You know, I will give you money for it. You just have to give it to us. And they're just like, you know, there's always an excuse.
I just can't understand what the excuse is to, we want to give you money. They just want to take it away so we can give them more money. Like, this is the problem with capitalism. See, they're having to still figure out ways they could still make more money.
Yeah.
Because they can't not do better than the year before. So you're seeing all of this nefarious crap because this is the only way they could start to keep going year over year, more and more. We're going to see so much more garbage consumer stuff coming out for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was actually thinking that when I started seeing this conversation come up, I was just like, am I Am I going to start pirating games again?
I mean,
I don't want to for indie. I still feel like I could find an avenue, even if it's like itch.io or wherever they like to put sometimes their games. I could find it, download it, it's mine. I feel like we might be long off from indie teams doing something like that. You might also find them on a streamer, but I mean, sometimes they're kind of at the mercy of people who can fund them too a little bit. So like I can understand that, but like AAA, I'm not going to feel bad.
No.
They're kind of the only group that is like, when I hear people talking about pirating games, I'm like, well, it's not right, but I don't care.
No.
If I steal from an indie team, I feel like that's a lunch from a kid or a piano lesson or, like they're actually using it to live. It's not to give some corporate asshole, more money.
Sure.
So steal it. I don't care. And if that could get me in trouble, I'm joking.
Sure.
Like it was a joke, right? Isn't that what we get to say for everything? But yeah, I think verdict is boo.
Boo. I agree. So yeah, we'll keep working on this problem. Hopefully something good will come of it down the line. I'm a little bit more pessimistic, but
I just want people to hold the line.
Yeah.
Like if you legitimately disagree with this practice, don't help them fund it.
No.
And I know that's a big ask because you got them big games that people are just, they don't care. They need it. They need it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's going to be those big games that if you can hold off on, what am I saying? I'm talking to a group of people who would buy $10,000 PlayStation 5s from eBay. So what am I saying?
That's true.
They're not the brightest bulbs when it comes to spending our money, I still would like to think the majority of us. But I mean, it's not enough because I still see all these games making so much money that everyone complained about. So it's really just useless, I guess. We're doomed, right? Is that how we end it? We're just doomed.
Maybe not, but humanity's got to prove me wrong. That's all I got.
Making it worse.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Guys, I guess that's it. So if you want to reach out to the show with a recommendation, still haven't had any, but I'm open. I'm here. I'm listening.
Yeah.
What
do you got, people?
We got topics for days, but we're always down for a recommendation. But let us know. You can do it on your favorite social media platform. You can send us an email at supermegacrash, and that's gmail.com if you didn't know. At supermegacrash everywhere on whatever social media platforms, because we're just about everywhere. There's probably a few that we don't know about yet, but all the popular ones were there.
We'll pretend to go over there too.
Yeah.
Like as well as we do the other ones.
and maybe sometime this year I can get back into a rhythm with the TikTok stuff because I kind of wanted to do some things over there.
Oh yeah.
We're working on it. We're trying to be
hip.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
If only we had someone else who could do things behind the scenes to help out.
Right. Just like we need to get some like Gen Zer to be like, here, make this be a thing. And then they probably could have it figured out in 2 seconds because you grew up in it, man.
Yeah.
I could learn it. I just have no interest. I'm trying to gain interest in it. And I'm like, it's just so hard to care about it now. Maybe that's what's losing me the older I get, where I'm like, I don't care what you say.
Patreon, Pencil Paper Productions, 5-star reviews on your favorite podcasting app. Help the show grow. Leave reviews. It could be just like thumbs up. That works. I don't care. I'd love to hear like what people think about this new format, since we're kicking off our second season of this thing. So,
yeah, season 2.
What do you think? Are you enjoying what we're doing here? You like the new approach to everything? Because we covered both today: video games, movies, the whole shebang.
Yeah. The whole shebang. I can't think of anything else digital, or that probably would have gotten included too, that affects my life right now. I'm sure there's plenty that I just can't think of.
Yeah, no. Nothing.
I mean, music? NFTs are no longer a thing, right? Oh, music, yeah, true. But that's something, we've conceded a long time ago to not own that either. So that's kind of, it could very well ease us into it to a point, because even I go to Spotify. It's just you provided an easier service for me to listen to everything I wanted to listen to instead of going out and buying a bunch of music. If I was a big music head, I might feel different. There's songs that I like to listen to And I'm fine with listening to them on there. Now, if they were to go all the way away,
But
I don't know. But like, yeah.
But
as long as your service is superior to what we had, people will be willing to pay for it instead of steal it.
And the beauty part, I'll even say this when it comes to the music. Say you probably got 3 or 4 big ones: YouTube, Spotify, Amazon. I don't know.
I think Amazon has there's Google Play, so that would be the YouTube one, right? Or no? No,
yeah,
wait,
YouTube Music, because they're transitioning away from the Google Play thing. They're doing YouTube Music now, YouTube Podcasts now.
Something red. Oh, they're having their own.
Yeah, they're transitioning everything to YouTube. That brand.
Okay. But yeah. I don't know. Do people still do Pandora? Is that still a thing?
It's a thing, but whether or not people do it, I don't know. But point being,
but yeah,
whatever service you get, you're practically getting everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So no matter where you go, you can have all the music that you want. So
yeah, it's pretty rare to not find a song you want to hear on there.
Yeah. I mean, I've encountered it a time or two, but it's got to be something very obscure.
Oh. So I was going to say, even Colleen Ballinger's Ukulele Apology song made it onto Spotify, so I feel like you can find anything.
Wow.
If you want to listen to a little Toxic Gossip Train and give her a couple of bucks for it, I guess, every time you listen to it.
I guess.
There you go.
Anyway.
It's a catchy tune, and I hate her for it. You just catch do. Anyway, we need to get out of here. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Keep up with all things. pencilpaperproductions.com/supermegacrash. All links are down below. You know how to find them. Join us again next week. But until then, go beyond your limits.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.